Anyway, though, I want to go over the few facts of when you get introduced to Kainmita. She, you know, she does her thing. She wants to help you. She gives you the ring. She does all that. And she talks about a player that she was with right before Crazy Mita showed up. Now, that player you end up meeting in Beyond the World. And when you meet him, he's talking about, like, oh, I must find my beloved Mita. I don't care that I've been here for this long. He doesn't want to leave. Like I said before in the beginning, if you want to connect it to MiSide Zero, there you go. There's a lore right there. But if you don't want to do that and you just want to go based on the canon original game, then you can still connect that player could still be Kainmita's player. And I know she said he was Cartridge, but let's be real, you can't necessarily trust everything she says because she's being controlled by Crazy Mita if we're going with this theory. Like, if this theory makes sense and is correct, she's being controlled by Crazy Mita, so she has to say certain things. And it's kind of weird how she just ends up in Beyond the World and it's just there without, like, any explanation. She gets there before you, too. And we all know Crazy Mita can reality warp. She can do a lot of stuff. She could have warped Kind Mita there before us. It's just kind of interesting how she got there. And you might think, well, she might just took a different path, one that's quicker. I don't think so, because when we leave, we have to go through a bunch of stuff. And I know that Mitas are different, but they can't even enter their own core, and we can. So, what does that say? And the next thing I want to talk about is when Crazy Mita is down there demanding to know where we are. She looks right at. There's many times where she looks right at us, and you can tell that. I mean, anyone could tell that we're hiding there, and anyone could tell that we were hiding behind the boxes. But she doesn't know. What I think is that she does know. She just is playing along, and you might think, well, when she does see you, she kills you. Yes, but here's the thing. She does that because you made yourself just genuinely obvious. She's setting up a script, and when you don't follow that script, she just basically kills you. And if we don't follow the script of, letting the ring guide us, and we just make ourselves obvious to her, she'll teleport over to us and kill us. And I think that's what Kind Mita and Crazy Mita were going to talk about, because Kind Mita said, I still need to ask her questions. Why would you need to stay behind and ask her questions? You would think that a psychopath would just, not want to talk, and you would think someone as smart and pragmatic as Kind Mita would figure that out. She clearly says she's crazy. Like, she basically sounds in distress when she talks about Crazy Mita. And I think that distress is real. But why would you want to talk with someone who's that mentally, not okay, not right? It just doesn't make sense. Alright, now here's the part where we get to Cappy Mita's room. Or version, not really room. I always say that, I always say room. Anyway, though. We get there, and right as you're about to walk in, you can slightly notice that the room is dark. Well, it's not really slightly, you kind of just notice. But yeah, the room is dark. And we walk in. She's there. She asks about the new player. And, the whole thing goes, oh, Kai Mita's like, oh, you don't remember me. Cappy Mita's like, who the hell are you? That part always gets me. But, I think she's also being controlled, because she does hint to us, in weird ways. And I used to think that was just, because, for example, if you were basically randomly sitting in your room and another version, another you just walked in, even if they look a bit different, another you walked in with a random person behind them and claimed to, talked all this information about you being reset and all that, you would possibly shake your head and nod in disbelief too. But I don't think she's doing that, because her eyes go wide, like they're about to bulge. It's kind of creepy. So I think that What happened was Crazy Mita didn't go there to kill Cappy like Kaimita said, or reset her. She went there to threaten her. Like, as in, you better keep your mouth shut and you better stick to the script. Because Kaimita is my puppet and you're gonna be my puppet too. Now, what I do think is, I do think the ring is also a tracking device, as in, it gives Crazy Mita the ability to track you and she can find you wherever. Like when she found you and almost dropped the fridge on you, well, she tried to. I think she knew it wasn't gonna hit us, and she just did that on purpose. That I think was just for fun. Then she found us in the 2D world, and yeah, she broke the 2D world. And then she found us in Mila's world, and then after that, she made us play a whole psychopathic minigame. That was fun though. But yeah, the ring I think is a tracking device, and there's more theories I'm gonna make, because if you notice in Beyond the World, the same type of device is on. I'm just gonna call him Zero. I know that might not be his actual name, but just because of MiSide Zero, I'm just gonna call him Zero. On Zero's like throat and neck, around them, he has like the same type of device on him. And I'm gonna just say this right now because I'm willing to say this because this might be in the next theory that I make, because this is gonna be like maybe a 4-part series. I think the ring and the other devices that you see like that are how you get cartridged. I think the ring is connected to the console, that because when you go in the basement and you open safe, your data is being uploaded. I think that's how she gets people cartridged, and that's why I think that since he had that around his neck, that's how Crazy Mita was able to blackmail Kind Mita and getting her to do her bidding and to work with her. And in turn, we have that on us, and she can track us, and that's how our data is being uploaded. So when we don't have the ring on, we're safe. Well, we're not like safe. We can still die in the game, but you know what I mean. Like, we're safe from being cartridged, in my opinion. But the moment that ring goes back on us, we are getting uploaded into a cartridge, into a console, or the console's uploading our stuff, our data to the cartridge, and we're getting cartridge. That's what I think is happening. And if you take another look with Cappy Mita, when you go towards the books, she says this.
Bet you've read them all at this point. Nothing else to do, right?
I hate reading. I like doing things.
That's one way to look at it. But knowledge helps.
Boom! Moving, creating, touching. You get me? Books are just paper. I like to be in the moment. If you stay here with me, we could do so much.
I'm sure we could.
See, it's like she knows that when we leave, like she's trying to convince us to stay, like I was saying earlier. Like she knows that the moment we leave, she's going to get punished in the worst way possible. Because she's not just dying, she's being reset with no memories of us or anyone else. And that's scary for her. She doesn't want that. And then there's another thing that she says when we go over to the front door.
Stop. You're better off not seeing what's in there. Let it be a secret.
What's in there?
A secret is a secret, and secrets are meant to be kept.
Why do you have to leave me hanging like that?
See, she said secret. I've always wondered, I always, genuinely wondered, and I don't know if other people have or not, but it could be just a funny little thing she says, but she's basically saying it's a secret, and then when we ask, she's like, no, a secret is a secret, and I'm keeping it, basically. And it's like, well, what is the secret? And that's something else I can maybe dive into at some point, but in my opinion, what I believe is that there's possibly a bunch of stuff in there, because think about it, they were talking about how they were working on a plan, right, to stop Crazy Mita. Well, if my theory is correct about what I'm, this entire theory, if it's correct or somewhat plausible, then that the front door might not be like the front door. I mean, it usually isn't. It usually leads to other places or nowhere. Um, but I think that there's gadgets and stuff back there that could be more the cartridge devices, that like the ring and all that stuff. And it might be more of Crazy Mita's stuff just put in Cappy Mita's version, because Kind Mita put it all there. And I do think Kind Mita was working on a plan with Cappy Mita, but then, like after that whole thing happened where she got captured, I think it's when she started working on the plan with Cappy Mita. And like I said, I think Crazy Mita went there too and just threatened Cappy Mita. And she was forced to be upon too, working on gadgets, helping out with this cartridge stuff. It could be, or it could be where all the other player cartridges are. And that's why I think later she is like, no, please stay with me. And that's why Kaimita is trying to get her to stop, because she doesn't want... I think she actually cares about Cappy Mita, and she doesn't want her to get killed by Crazy Mita, but then once you leave, then there's an off-screen death where Crazy Mita finally comes in, possibly, and then just kills Cappy and actually resets her that time for not following her script and almost breaking it. Because if the player actually decided to listen to Cappy Mita, I mean, we all want to listen. I'm sure there's many of us out there who would love to stay there. But, like, if there was an option, it would have ruined her entire plan. So, in turn, she disposes of Cappy Mita. And then, it basically is like a warning shot to Crazy Mita, like, this is what happens when you disobey me. And I will hurt you and your player. I'll cartridge him for real, and then I'll reset you by killing you. And then, obviously, after we do all that, we go through all the loops, we go through all that. Then we eventually meet up with Kai Mita again. I don't know why I almost said Crazy Mita. But yeah, no, we meet up with Kai Mita again. And after you talk about the core, she rescues you from a cell. And the ring is gone. She ends up having to get it from Crazy Mita. She has the index. She has all that. But then, here's the crazy part. Literally, she gets betrayed. And you might think, because a lot of people might think, like, if they're working together, why would Crazy Mita kill her and reset her? I'm a Star Wars fan, I'm gonna say that right now, and I studied the Sith a lot. This will make sense, I promise. Betrayal is the rule of two. I'm not saying they're Sith and the rule of two, but they kind of act like it in some ways. Except she's a genuine pawn and she knows it, but she gets betrayed. And I think that's why she's smiling at the end, is because it's like, she finally sees the irony that Crazy Mita was never gonna let her off with a pass once the plan was complete, and she got what she wanted. She was just gonna betray Kai Mita and then most likely cartridge her player. And then, Kai Mita's reset, we go and we get the stuff. And the reason she still has the stuff is because Crazy Mita wants us to get the index and the ring. It all plays into her plan. Like, it all plays into her plan. She basically scripted the entire thing. Kai Mita was a disposable pawn to her. She didn't care about her. She just wanted to use her. She never wanted Kai Mita as a teammate or an ally. She wanted to use her and then dispose of her as she gets us finally. And that's what I think actually happened. At least in my opinion, that's what I actually think happened. So, Kai Mita necessarily isn't evil or working with Crazy Mita to be an asshole. She's just doing it because she had no other choice and she thought, her and her player were gonna get basically disposed of, so she just went along with the plan hoping she could get off with a pass. And she did it out of desperation and fear. And then, in the end, she just gets betrayed. Her player most likely gets cartridged. All that. Alright, anyway, discussion time. I decided to add this into the big video, aka when part 4 is also being put in. But yeah, I wanted to do this because I thought it'd be kind of cool. So I got Rokishi's point of view pulled up. He can't actually be like in the video because he's like busy and stuff. So, but he did give me a list of what he thinks. So I'm gonna read his point of view, and that's really it. That's all discussion time is. But it's because he was well versed on the whole like time meter theory and stuff. Kind of the person I got this little theory from. I mean, I also looked at other places, but like, he's one of the main people who pioneered this theory for me in my head and stuff. So, and if I sound kind of reading it, just know it's my reading. It's not his typing or his theory. It's literally just I'm not good at reading, as you saw in part 2 and earlier and whatever, you know. I have the game volume on. Let me just turn that down. My bad. Here, I'll just... Nah, I kind of want the music on. I'll turn it on 50. There. Alright, I'm gonna pull that back up. Alright, so... He thinks... I'm gonna just read his entire thing. Alright, this is him talking basically in his own way. I think is somehow Crazy Mita was able to rewrite some of Kai Mita's code / brain where she thinks she's trying to help the player out when they were getting to the mainframe where they destroy or rewrite the other Mita, but as you see in the game hallway or halfway, oh my gosh, see through Kai Mita was making the ring. I think either Crazy Mita tampered with the ring by knocking out Kai Mita, or Crazy Mita hijacked the ring while you were coming back to get it, and I think Kai Mita is forced to help her by Crazy Mita holding her player hostage, and Kai Mita wants them back so they can have a happy ending, basically what I was saying. But Crazy Mita didn't get any players herself, more like they were sent to people like Sleepy Mita or Cappy, but Crazy Mita instead tricked all of them by pretending to be them, or if it's stated in the game where she goes after them instead, but it's different with Kai Mita because it feels like she sets you up with the ring even though it's not her fault, but she's forced to help Crazy Mita, telling Crazy Mita where you are and also letting her find you with a ring. That's his theory, basically. So yeah, he basically just summed it up. But yeah, that's discussion time. That's it. Anyway, back to your regular program. Alright, so cartridges. We all know what they are. You get cartridged by Crazy Mita, or any Mita really. Any Mita could do this, but it's usually Crazy Mita. So, when it comes to those, you basically get compressed to a tiny box. I think that's how it works. Actually, I haven't delved into the cartridge like full on how it works. Actually, I don't think I've delved into that before. I could do something like that where I just talk about it. That won't really be a theory though. That'll just be kind of like some lore and just some fun stuff. I could start something like that. But anyway though, that's basically what it is. And yeah, it happens to our good buddy, the protagonist player at the end. We all get cartridged. Because, you know, we're like, you shouldn't exist. And she's like, well, that's rude. And then she's like, bye-bye, you're not needed. I don't need the real you now. But yeah, nah, that's how it goes. So, when it comes to these devices, one of the main things, if you saw in the thumbnail, is Zero's collar. The thing he's got around his neck and throat. And then, of course, there's an arrow that I put in the thumbnail that showed it pointing towards the core room and, like, some stuff in the core room. Because if you actually look in the core room, you can see a lot of green stuff. And you could be like, well, buddy, that's just the color. Like, that's just all the colors of the stuff. And, you know what? Good point. Fair point. I give you that. That's if you were gonna say that. But I believe there's something more going on, because if you actually look at the blueprints and all that, it's like, once again, I actually think Crazy Mita did take over the game, since she has all these powers, and all this stuff, and she could put you in the game. I think she presides over the core room. I mean, I know Core Mita does, but I think Crazy Mita is actually able to get in there and stuff. And I think that's how she uses the cartridge and all those other cartridges. I think the devices that you get, and I said this in the last video when I was talking about Kai Mita and stuff, I think those devices is what cartridges you. As in, you put the ring on, you're not safe. You take it off, you're still not really safe, but you're safe for being cartridge. The only thing you're not safe from is getting killed. But I do think when you have those devices on, you get cartridged. And there's another little piece of the lore that I found out. If you go to the character thing and you go to Player 9, Player 9 details exactly what I actually had clues of. Like, genuine clues of. Because if you read it, it says, "What the hell is wrong with her? I never wanted to be in this place to begin with. Thankfully, I was able to find these fancy shoes, which somehow gave me the ability to jump between versions. I thought I could escape, find my way to the latest version, and maybe find some clues there. But when I opened the door, all I found were empty rooms. The silence was there, or was maddening. I don't know why I read that wrong. My bad. Then I made my way to the version 0. Instead, I heard the core of the game was there, the very heart of this damn MiSide. No Mita was ever able to enter the core, though there was one always there. One that rolled over the core. She wasn't like the others. It was creepy the way she just stared at me coldly, but without laying a finger on me, so I made the core my hideout and started trying to figure out these strange computers worked. I kept hoping I could find a way to escape this world. I am so sorry for my poor reading. But if you actually think about that, that's kind of interesting because that's what we got. We got the ring, but this person's got shoes. And then obviously if you go and you look at Zero, he's got the thing around his neck and throat. Now you could be thinking, well, if Zero really is if it really is kind of like MiSide Zero and that was Kai Mita's player, then why does he have a device on him helping him to get through versions? I don't think he, like I said, I think Kai Mita was being blackmailed and Crazy Mita just put that on him to control him and to get Kai Mita to do what she wanted. I don't think that's him trying to jump through versions. He could be trying to use it right now, or after that happened. But I don't think he would have known how it works, because every single player seems to know how the things work to get through other versions, but him, because he's just stuck through a loop, going through the same type of doors in Beyond the World. So, if we actually apply that to that knowledge to everything else, it basically seems like these devices aren't here to help you. They're just here to 1, track you, 2, mess with you, 3, get you cartridged, and 4, be a fun time for Crazy Mita. So that's really what it seems to be going on here. And like I said, if you actually look at the blueprints and just all the stuff in the core room, it just looks like that's stuff that's when you actually look at the data and you look at players, because there's a player list. If you actually look, it shows all the players. Now, if you go into Sleepy Mita's version, she does say something interesting that a lot of people might just gloss over, however you say it. You might just not even notice it, but you might. But she says this.
You have her ring? No wonder. You found this place.
She says you have her ring, no wonder you found this place. Isn't that kind of interesting how she just knows? Now, I think she's talking about Crazy Mita. Mostly because she says what she says. And I know some people could think she's talking about Kai Mita, but I feel like she would add more stuff onto the sentence. And plus, I kind of just like to think it's Crazy Mita because it fits with the theory. But I think she's talking about Crazy Mita, and I think she knows. Because she's like, no wonder you found this place. You have a ring. I think Sleepy Mita knows more than she lets on, but obviously she's too tired to really talk about it. She doesn't really want to. She just wants to help you move on and then go back to sleep. But there is more to her than what it looks. She's not just this person who sleeps and, you know, there's... Her story's kind of sad. So, I mean, short-haired Mita literally explains how she's, like, only one person played her version. So, there's definitely a lot of sadness within her version and a lot of lore within it. But that's for another day. But yeah, when you, like, actually get out of there and go through more, like, you notice that Crazy Mita is always there, just happens to always be there. She's there when she pretends to drop the fridge on you. She's there when you're in 2D Mita's version. After you get out of Sleepy Mita's version, you go into the 2D one. She comes in, breaks it, and then after that with Mila, she goes and kills Mila. Then she does the whole mini game thing with you. She does... Obviously, the old version with Creepy Mita, she most likely is just able to go there anyway. But, like, she's able to track you because of the ring. And, once again, if Kai Mita truly is being blackmailed and forced to serve her, then Kai Mita obviously made it. And, well, not like, she didn't make it. That's not what I'm saying. Like, I'm saying, like, she basically has it programmed for it to track you. And I think that's one of the reasons she had, like, she asked for the ring. Because why would Kai Mita ask for the ring when it was guiding you already? It was already guiding you in the beginning. Why would she want it back just to tinker with it randomly and then give it back to you? And it only took her 10 minutes. That's like enough time to program a tracking device into it if she forgot. Or if she just was gonna put something else in there to help Crazy Mita, she could. You know, anything else, maybe like a hidden audio device, and maybe that's one of the reasons she killed Mila, is because Mila was saying I hate her, and so she was like, alright buddy. It could be anything. But that's really all I wanted to talk about with this theory, because, yeah, there's not much you really need to go into with these theories, because they are very simple if you actually just pay attention and you, like, dive through it. But yeah. So... hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, do all that, and yeah, I mean, what do you think? Do you think the cartridge devices are actually the devices you wear and use to get between versions, or am I just crazy like Crazy Mita? Let me know. Anyway though, yeah. Bye bye! Alright, so the player. The protagonist. The person that has the worst life in the entire game. Well, not really, but he gets sucked into the game, obviously. Crazy Mita's there. You know, the whole story. We already know what happens. Gets cartridge at the end. I want to talk about how I think he was created by her from the beginning, and he was never real at all. Like, he just wasn't real. And it's her experiment. You might think, how the hell does that make any sense? And doesn't it kind of contradict some of the stuff from the last episode? Maybe, but not really. Anyway though, what I think is that she created him because she overthrew the creators. That's the next video. I'm gonna talk about the creators and stuff, but I think she overthrew the creators and she wanted to test to see if she could create a player that would be kind of like a Mita, a companion that you're meant to have. So basically, she flipped the script the other way. The tables basically turn. Instead of a player getting a Mita to have a companion, a Mita is getting a player to have a companion. That's so weird, but it's so cool at the same time. If this is like, if there's ever any merit to this, but that's basically what she's doing. She's trying to get someone to stay with her, and she's trying to create the perfect player. And she's doing it with the core because she was able to take over the game, hence how she can teleport players in. Now, the player, he never shows emotion. Never. Not even when you're taking a photo with him, or when she's taking a photo with you. Like, we never show emotion. Ever. And you might just think, well, some people just don't do that. And yeah, some people in real life, and for example, me, sometimes I look like the most blank person ever. Like, I just won't, you know. But like, they don't show emotion, they show emotion with their voice, but never the facial expressions. And you might think, well, it's first person, you don't have to have that. Yeah, I get that, but there are, I think, other games where the first person player has shown emotion before, like on their face and facial expression. This man shows nothing. And like I said, this obviously could be completely wrong, and it could just be they didn't really feel the need to have him show emotion like that, like with the player, because you're in first person. Some game developers don't really see that as a necessary, but I like to think of it for this little theory, so we're just gonna go with this. But yeah, he never shows emotion. And I think she's trying to, like I said, get the perfect player. And you might think, well, if she's doing that, couldn't she have just made him stay, like, from the beginning in the programming? Maybe. But that didn't happen. And so, like I said in the, one of the theories, I think it was the last one, whenever you break her script, that's when she kills you. But, like, the whole thing is set up. Like, she set this entire thing up to where you're basically going through. She wanted to see how he would act and how driven he was. So this entire, like, gameplay that we go through in MiSide is kind of like her own experiment. And she's doing it on purpose. Now, she most likely didn't know, and this could even be applied to peaceful mode. Whenever you choose the stay ending, she's overjoyed, and when she says, I'm a little confused, it's because she genuinely is, because she programmed the player to basically still have their own mind like Amita would, like they get their own self-awareness. So when he actually does choose to stay, she's kind of confused because she's like, well, I gave this person self-awareness and the ability to choose whatever, so the fact they're actually choosing me is crazy, confusing, but I love it. I don't care. That's how she feels. Now when you reject her, she's kind of expecting it because she's thinking even an AI that is created by her is most likely going to reject her. So that's why when we don't choose her, she's not surprised, but when we do, she genuinely is surprised. One thing I want to say is that whenever at the end, after we are cartridged, she basically, I believe what she does is, after all that, she kind of marks us down as a failed experiment or a success, because even, like, we're failed as in we failed to finally accept her, but we're successful because she was able to create her own AI while also being an AI. So she basically goes back and repeats the process with the new created player, and she's just gonna keep doing it until she can get one that chooses us. That's why, like I said, in peaceful mode, when we do choose us, it's a success instead of a failed and success. It's both a success. So peaceful mode, I believe, is the basically the full true happy ending of the game, of course. And when it comes out, I'm really anticipating it. I think everyone is. But that's why when it comes out, we're gonna do like a bunch of fun stuff with her. And it's, well, gonna be peaceful mode. Hence the name. And I think that's what the entire thing was like with Kaimita and all that. And like, Kaimita knew all this. She wasn't allowed to say anything. Cappy knew all this. She wasn't allowed to say anything. Mila, I don't think they would even have the knowledge of knowing, like all the other Mitas. I don't think they would have known. They would have just thought, oh, it's another player. But like the main three, Crazy Mita, Kind Mita, and Cappy Mita, all knew we weren't real. And that might be what the secret room is in Cappy Mita's house. Like in her version. It might be where we're created. She might have created us in an entirely different room or a different place. And yes, I know that this is just a crazy one, but Like I said, I like to think of these as my own headcanons, like the one guy said. But yeah, so that's basically it for this theory. I know I keep using same, what's it called, gameplay and all that. I don't really feel a need to use different gameplay in the background. It's kind of the same topics, just different or they're not the same topics. They're just different topics, but like, you know what I mean. I think. But yeah, so I believe the player isn't actually real, and that Crazy Mita basically overthrew the creators, made her own player, and this entire thing is like an experiment. Like I said, I know it's a far fetched thing, but I like to think of it as that. But the next part is about the creators themselves. Don't have much information on that, so I don't know if that's even going to be a long video or not. This one I don't even think is long, so. But yeah, hopefully if you enjoyed, leave a like, all that, subscribe, and yeah, I guess, well, if you think I'm crazy, you can tell me. If you think I have some merit to this theory, you can tell me. But yeah. Anyway, though, have a good day, and bye-bye. Alright, hello there, and welcome back to basically the fourth part, and I don't know how you're seeing this video, but knowing me and what I've been thinking about and what I decided to kind of do, you're most likely seeing it in the all-in-one video instead of a fourth part. So just consider the all-in-one video the fourth part, and basically just everything, all the other content that I put in here. And yeah, so basically I'm not gonna go through it like a normal, like kind of how I did the other stuff. I'm kind of gonna explain just what I think is happening in the end and overall. And because I don't know much about the creators, I don't like the creators of, like, in the lore, the creators who made like the metas and all that. We don't really know much. At least I don't know much yet. I haven't looked into it that much. I will eventually because I want to. But yeah, so what I think is truly going on in MiSide, like, and this is like my own headcanon thing, like I said, and just in general, this is a little theory that could be true, could not be true, like what I think. I think a lot of different stuff about this game. There's a lot of theories that I think could be true and that I think could not be true. But basically, I kind of just think Crazy Mita overthrew the creators, had the player set up as an experiment. We aren't real, like the protagonists were just not real. She wanted to see if the experiment would fail or succeed. Mita basically helped her with it. Wasn't allowed to reveal everything. The cartridge devices and, you know, like the thing around Zero. Technically, if you want to include MiSide Zero and if you want to see that as her player and all that, if you want to connect those two. Basically, she was blackmailed, and Cappy Mita was blackmailed and was threatened, not actually reset, but was threatened to pretend that she didn't know anything and to keep up the allure. And basically, the player, like I said, is just fake, and this whole entire, like, the entire game is basically her experiment. Kind of how the creators did experiments with them to get the perfect Mita. But except, like, she flipped it to where it's a player instead. So an AI, created an AI, basically. And, like I said, she's confused if you stay in peaceful mode. Like, that's why she's confused if you choose the peaceful mode ending once you're able to, after you have everything unlocked. Yeah, once everything is unlocked, you're able to do that. That's why she's confused, but if you don't, then she's not surprised, but, like, at the same time, this is, like I said, her experiment. She's trying to get you to stay, all that. It's an experiment run by her. I like to call the experiment run by her bleh. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I like to call it Project Psycho. I don't know, I feel like that's a simple, normal name for it. Because she's a psychopath. Technically, she's crazy. Hence the name Crazy Mita. But, yeah, so that's what the video most likely is called, like Project Psycho something. It's called something. I named it something, obviously, but that's kind of what I think, like, is really going on, like, with this theory, the Project Psycho theory. That's what I'm calling it. But yeah, that's really it. So, I know this one's kind of, like, short, but like I said, it's most likely in the all-in-one video, like the big one that I'm gonna post with all the other parts in it, but, like, other stuff too. So, you're most likely seeing this just at the end of that, and that's just what I think's happening with this theory. So, hopefully you enjoyed this little 4-part series. And I know the last video I didn't have the music, and some of the stuff was messed up, and I cleared my throat, which every time I do clear my throat, I usually edit that out because it's just unnecessary. But I guess something happened with the editor, and like something messed up. I don't know what happened. I think I just forgot to do something because I was kind of in a rush that day, yesterday. I was like doing a bunch of stuff, but yeah. So, but my bad about that. My apologies. But yeah, no. Hopefully you enjoyed the series though. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, do all that. And yeah. Join the Discord if you want. I mean, it's kind of just a simple Discord. It's not really nothing special, but if you want, you can join it. But yeah, I'm gonna see if I can start posting some of those other videos again, like the Mita is Adorable series that I got going, and the maybe just do a video where you can find all like the cartridge profiles and all that, and the school uniform, of course, and just all the other stuff and just other achievements. So, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if I have some merit to these theories. If you think any of this could be true, if you think any of it could be wrong, leave some feedback. I'm open to it as long as it's respectful and nice. And yeah, so yeah, that's really it. Well, how do I end this? I don't know how to end this. I'm not actually. Oh yeah. Actually, wait. Expect MiSide source code videos, because that's coming out soon, I think. Because I saw that it was like a new MiSide game, like a new fan game called MiSide source code. I want to see, I actually want to try that out. The trailer was amazing. And of course, once peaceful mode comes out, I'll be playing that too. But anyway, though, if you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, do all that, and yeah. Bye bye. Bye bye.